All right, so welcome to episode 3 of the Superflow podcast. In this episode, I'm speaking to Alex, the cold email king Berman. Alex is the owner of a 7-figure agency, a YouTuber, and known for his courses in the marketing space, especially cold email, and more recently for platforms like Twitter and LinkedIn. We go over a lot of aspects of how agency owners can get leads via cold email, what he's up to right now, his origin story, which is quite wild, and a bunch of other random, fun, and serious stuff that you're going to absolutely enjoy. Let's go. So, Alex Berman in the house, ladies and gentlemen. So, Alex, you'll have to give us a little bit of background, even though you've got like a extensive history with YouTube and, off late you've been on all these social platforms. But help us out a little bit, man. What's been happening? Who are you? A little bit, very quick for our friends on the podcast. Yeah.
So I see myself as a content creator first. We have a sales training YouTube channel. 60,000 subs. Now we're doing Twitter and some other platforms, LinkedIn, etc. I also run a I'm the chairman of a 7-figure marketing agency. Robert Indresh, my co-founder, is the CEO over there, where we do lead generation outbound and mainly focus on booking cornerstone clients for companies. So clients you wouldn't normally otherwise be able to get, Fortune 500 companies and large brands is basically what we focus on. And that's it. We also do education startups. So things like Cold Email University, where we teach cold email, or LinkedIn X or Twitter 10K, where we teach what we've learned through both the content creation stuff and the agency stuff.
So you've basically packed everything into like the best 30-second summary of Alex Berman I've ever heard, read, or seen. I don't think there's a better one out there. But what you'll have to quickly give us is, how did you get here? Yeah. So I don't want a lot of story stuff, because I'm sure that people are going to follow you and figure you out as soon as they listen to this podcast. But give us a little bit, because you actually shared something very interesting on Twitter recently, which is you did a bit of stand-up, which is stand-up comedy, and that's the most unknown thing about you that I've ever come across. So tell us, how do you go from that to like doing what you're doing right now?
Oh, we got more unknown stuff, I can tell you. I actually started stand-up after. So what happened was I started in Florida, no connections, cold emailed, got a job in New York City. Worked that job, tried to become a freelancer, failed at becoming a freelancer, eventually ended up becoming a junior sales guy at a digital agency in New York City, where I then was so focused on results that I clawed my way all the way to director of marketing in about a year and a half. Wow. Ended up beating out the entire sales team. We can talk in detail about how I did this. Beat out the entire sales team and the founders in terms of sales. They were a $5 million agency, and I closed $1 million of business, so 16% of their entire revenue. And the founder, Tom, is still a mentor of mine to this day. Then I joined a lead generation company that I'm not allowed to say the name of because the founder is currently being investigated.
All right.
And what happened is we were sending cold emails. We got to $100 million valuation. I owned 10% of that. And so I was happy, dude. I had $10 million on paper, and all of a sudden all this bullshit started happening. And it turns out the whole company was fake. And I ended up stranded in Tokyo. And I only had enough miles to get back to Orlando. So flew back home. And then from my parents' basement, started sending cold emails. We started X27, which is our lead gen agency today. And yeah, man, we just grew it. And then after that, I did the stand-up comedy.
Oh, after that, like you just randomly decided to be like, okay, let's do stand-up now.
Well, no. So I was at SumoCon. So here's what happened. So we started the business. We went from nothing to 600,000 in annual recurring revenue in about, I say 60 days on Twitter. I think it was about like 3 weeks, because I was trying to run through Banjo-Kazooie. I was trying to beat the game Banjo-Kazooie at the same time. And by the end of that, I feel like we had 600K in revenue. So nice. I bought a Prius, bought my first car, drove out to Wichita, Kansas. And just from there, I was like, I don't really want to do client calls anymore. And so I talked to Robert, and I moved, who's my co-founder, and I moved from CEO to chairman. And then I just had a shitload of downtime. Can I curse on this? I've cursed probably 5 times.
No, that's fine. Yeah, all good.
So I just had a bunch of downtime. And then I was hanging out with my little brother. My little brother was like, I want to be a stand-up comedian. I was listening to like Joe Rogan and stuff. I'm like, yeah, let's try it. So we both moved to LA, and I did like 130, 140 mics. Found out I didn't like it. And then, Now I'm here. There's no now I'm here. You know what I'm saying? Like this was 4 years ago.
Not to say
no
that,
to this story.
I know. Now you're here. Then we'll do another podcast episode a few years down the line. You're going to be there. But the point was just to quickly summarize, because I think I've come across your content on YouTube and LinkedIn recently. Twitter recently, actually. YouTube has been my first. I think I came across your content like 2-3 years back. And usually reference that whenever I come across a business development, let's say hire or somebody who we get on board for reaching out to people, I actually reference a lot of your content for that. So that's my first exposure, but I have no idea about who Alex Berman is. We usually get the 2 tips or 3 tips on your 7 tactics and this and that. But so I just wanted to get that in. I'm usually not a big fan of like long stories, because then it just gets like, I don't know. It's actually all similar. Everyone's story is so similar. There's like there's no there to hear. It's just that everyone's just like, it's unique. Everyone's story is so unique. So just wanted a quick bit of that. And, I want to get straight to action. So agencies, freelancers.
And you can see
you
can see all the personal stuff that you're talking about now has actually been a strategy that we're running, because what we realized, we're shaking it up like a can of Coke, meaning we have been doing the 3 tips and we've been teaching these business development things, but there's other people that are just as good. And in order to actually break through to where we need to go, we need the personality, and we need to be talking about more topics. That's why I'm doing Twitter. That's why I'm doing LinkedIn. That's why we're doing all this other stuff, because I can't be, cold email guy. I'm number 1 in the cold email space. I've been number 1 in the cold email space for 5 years. You're showing everyone my content. I hear that dozens of times a day.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So, so with that, we are now here at 60,000 subs with that. So we've hit the cap, and we've been at the cap for years. So in order to break through, we need to open up new channels, things like Twitter, and then we need to expand our vibe. I guess is probably the right way. We need to expand what we're known for, so that we can start
all we need
more
to
famous.
Do,
yeah, that's all we need to do.
All we need to do is figure out a way to scale Alex Berman. That's what you need to do. I think
we're running it the same way that a lot of, it's the same way agencies should run. It's a spider web strategy, which is basically start with one service, like we did with cold email or marketing reviews, and then you slowly add new stuff. So you start with marketing reviews, then you add social media management, you add cold email, you add PPC management, now LinkedIn management. All of a sudden, you're able to grow your deal. This is India, so I'm going to say American prices to freak you out. You can grow your deal size from like 8,000 a month to 20,000 a month just by adding services. It's exactly the same thing that you have to do actually as a personal brand. And it didn't click until recently, but it's like we have to grow as a spider, like a spider web. We have to start taking over mind share everywhere. So the fact that you're asking about the stories means that we're actually on. It's working.
Yeah, it's more fun though. I'll be honest. Like I would enjoy your other content much more. If I know who I'm actually listening to. And then eventually there's a crossover where it becomes more like you want to talk to Alex more than you want to listen to his 3 tips about something. You'll actually pay more attention to what he's saying. So I just feel if you like the character, and the person on the other side, it just makes more sense. And that's the world that we're living in right now. Anyway,
It's real, and we're seeing it already, and we're seeing it in our YouTube content. So you'll see the last couple of videos we did on YouTube were things like me talking about John Buchan, who's another cold email expert, and tearing down his emails. I think the one before that was like me talking to Steli FD and tearing down his emails. Like now we're really starting to branch out into the world and make more fun content. And some of the stuff, I was just at Red Rock on Monday. We filmed 8 videos, and they're all more like. Even like more like Sadhguru style, just riffing, like 7-8 minute videos. One I think was 25 minutes, just talking about every other topic, because we really need to expand our content wheel. And Twitter's actually been the way to do that. We'll talk about cold email in a second. Twitter's been the way to do that, because what I found is if you tweet 5,000 times a day, 300 of those tweets are going to be good, and then those resonate. Then you can.
Okay, hold on. All right, hold on. You're giving us. We need to do this. We need to do this a little bit of a sequence.
Do your thing. Yeah. Sorry.
All right, cool. So let's actually get down to helping out people who are agency owners, freelancers, service providers, and SaaS owners on the first part of this entire podcast. All right. And this is right up your cold email stuff, because you just gave a good example of somebody starting off with being any one of these. Yeah. And then they don't know what to do. They typically start off with posting on Instagram, or, randomly going on, keep on switching between social channels, all this advice coming their way. They have no idea how to sort of really go about this. So, give us a little bit about how you would, so if you're speaking to a, let's say, agency owner, freelancers, let's say first-time SaaS product owner or a service provider, where should they start? What should they do? Let's simplify this and make it very basic for people.
Main thing you want to do is go direct. So cold email. Okay, cold email is the entire business. Your entire business, if you're going to master cold email, and this is what we talked about because we've sent millions of cold emails in our lifetime. If you're going to master cold email, you actually have to master the entirety of business, meaning your offer needs to be on lock. It needs to be a no-brainer. Your customer needs to be on lock. You need to know exactly who you're talking to. And you need to be able to book the meeting, so call to action. So that's why I recommend and love cold email as a strategy for initially starting out as an agency. There are all these other strategies that also work. The ones that don't work are the ones that are soft and take months. So for instance, if someone's telling you to post 5,000 times a day on Twitter, don't do that. And our Twitter course isn't about that. Our Twitter course is if you post 5,000 times a day on Twitter and do these several things, you're going to get 10,000 followers and make course sales. I don't teach how to get agency clients via Twitter because I don't know how to do that. But things like Instagram DMs work. Things like cold calling still works. And cold email, which is our main channel for omnichannel. Even LinkedIn outreach still works phenomenally well. So if you master your offer and your audience, then the actual channel should show itself as long as you think direct. Meaning, so let me give an exact example. So
let's take one of them. I think because there are 4 or 5 different ones. Let's take an agency owner / freelancer. All right, somebody just starting off. Why we say agency owners is because anyone from the developing world typically can put together 3-4 people fairly quickly. Anyone who's in the US, UK, Europe, etc., typically is a freelancer. A single person trying to sort of sell some sort of a service. So let's take that as a specific example. And then let's take cold email, and how do you recommend these people should actually, what's the sequence in which they should go about things?
So you're selling cold email as a service? Is that what you're saying?
No, like any kind of design service, let's say, or web design or ads, or one of these.
Yeah, that's where I would start. So start with actually understanding fully what your service is, and there's a couple levels to that. Meaning, do you sell? I know you can do everything. You literally can do everything. So it starts with figuring out who are you pitching this to and what are you selling. So for instance, I do web design for breweries in the United States. We ran a campaign on that, and we were able to sell these websites for $15,000 to $30,000 because breweries needed the sites. Okay. Another client at X27 did only websites for Fortune 500 brands. They built Walmart's website, and they were trying to get people on their CMS. It was Brightspot CMS. So they would email these companies and they'd be like, hey, look, we did Walmart's website. It's doing this for them, and we'd love to do the same for you. That's where you'd start. So one, decide what you're going to sell. We will decide right now. Let's say you want to sell website development, website design and development for any niche, literally any niche that's not a local business. Here's another thing that you can think through. Golden geese companies. So when you think about, you're in India, you're trying to sell to America, you could target a local business, a local restaurant, and close them on $400 a month, which is more than a lot of people listening to this even make, first of all, and you work 1 hour a month to do that. So the scale of America, I really need to sink in. Somebody on Social Security in America makes $1,200 a month. Disabled person. Disabled person makes as much as an Indian doctor. Okay? That's the scale of America. That's what we're bumping into right now.
Right.
So really sink in there. 1, target America. 2, just sell your offer and price accordingly. And then what you're going to do is lead gen that specific type of person. So if you have identified a type of business, maybe it is breweries. And so
let's go for it. Yeah. So let's say you're selling web design services for breweries, and you just want to reach out and, let's say, get your first sort of, let's say, foot in the door, and get in touch with them or set up some sort of a call with them. That's all we want to do with this. Just break it down for us. How would you approach this?
Okay. So you've identified the leads. Make sure your bounce rate is low. A lot of people don't go through and they'll generate a lead list with 10% bounce rate, and you'll end up in spam. So here's the actual process. You build your lead list either using your friends who know how to do lead gen or use Upwork. I usually just use Upwork because they're already trained up. You have your list of leads, okay? You're gonna write a custom first line for each one. But let me go through the actual email script first. So subject line that works every single time is quick question. You don't need anything past that. 85%, 95% open rate with quick question, right? Subject line. Then it's gonna be, hi Mark. Then your custom first line. Custom first line is going to be a compliment. So let me actually just tell you what this email looks like. So quick question. Hi, Mark. Big fan of XYZ Brewery. Loved the campaign you did for, whatever beer. I do web design for breweries in the United States. The last company we did this for generated an additional 50% sales. Last company we did this for generated an additional 50% sales within 10 days of launching the site. Would love to do the same for you. Let me know, and I can send over a few times for a quick call. Thanks, Alex. That's it.
That's it.
Yeah. And there's some others. Yeah.
Go for it. Go for it. No, that's fine. Go for it.
Well, there's some other stuff that needs to sink in because you might hear that and you're like, oh, I could write a better email than that. And then you start adding all this information, or you do what a lot of people do, which is, I don't want to just do web design for these guys. I can do everything. Let me put it all in one email. Why don't we say that we do PPC and web design and web development and logo design? It's because, and if you have experience in agency, you'll know this.
Yeah.
It's because when you are doing outbound, like we're talking about, whether it is cold email, cold calling, whatever, omni-channel, when you're doing cold email, you are the one pitching them. You are driving the entire conversation, okay? So the easiest way to do that is to identify a need that they know they need. They need a new site. They know they need a new site. They probably have budget for a new site because their site sucks, okay? Identify a need. Say you do the thing, make the sale.
Alex,
at least book the meeting.
Very quickly tell us what not to do, because I know a lot of people hearing this are going to be screwing up the first line right away. They're going to do a copy paste job of just that first line by either having glorified language in there, which has got nothing to do with the guy, or just make an absurd compliment, which even the guy who's reading is like, even he knows it's not true. So tell us what not to do, when you're writing an email like this, which is so short, where people screw up their first line.
This is probably the wrong way to teach it to Indians.
No, I'm just
not just Indians. No, I'm saying, like Don Vesh and everyone's teaching the first line concept to people in the third world. This is the right way. The right way to actually do it is not even think about it in terms of custom first lines at all. The right way to think about it is think about, how can I align the email in a way where it doesn't even seem like it's first line? So for instance, what I actually did at X27 is we sold marketing reviews to agencies, okay? Every agency has a portfolio that lists their clients. So my first line to every single agency was, hey, big fan of Dom and Tom, love the work you did with Power Rangers. It was like, hey, big fan of company name, love the work you did with portfolio item. That's how we actually teach it. Okay, that's how we teach it. So then you only have to get the English right one time.
There's Grammarly for that, Alex. That's fine. Now I think that's sorted with Grammarly already.
I have an entire team. We have 6 people from India on our team.
You mentioned on Twitter. Yeah.
Well, one of the things that we're spinning up is a thing called American English, which is like the prequel to the cold email course, which is basically how to make slight tweaks to your grammar and how to make slight tweaks to your word choice to actually charge 10 times more than you charge. Because the biggest difference between the American social media manager and the Indian social media manager is people will pay the American 5 times more because they come off like an American. Right. So if you change that, if you change your grammar, change your English just a tiny bit, you can go from that 400 a month to 4,000 a month overnight, like on the next client. So that's why we talk about the prequel. Which
guys, all of this, follow Alex Berman so you can keep on getting all these stuff which typically you don't find in his courses as well. So he keeps on adding these on Twitter and LinkedIn and all these other. I think YouTube also you keep on sort of sharing so many different things that a lot of times if you get one of his courses you can actually get more stuff along. It's very complimentary the content he puts out. Because his content on Twitter, like typically that I've seen, is very let's say. Experimental and right now, you'll try something in the morning, right? And then you just document that and share it out in the afternoon. That we just spent like $150 and this is what happened. Which you typically, you laugh it off, but actually this is what not a lot of people share. They'll share a lot of polished stuff, like, all the things that come after, somebody's drafted out this big thing, but, somebody who's sort of almost live tweeting what their campaign metrics are at the background, where they say, $100, $150, $50, whatever, this is what I did, this is what I'm doing right now, this is what's working, this is what shit, this is not what. So, just keeping it that simple is actually, stuff. So if you buy something from Alex, guys, you should then go and sort of, I don't know if he'll be able to carry on with this energy on Twitter with like 5,000 tweets a day, but if he does, and if you can get hold of him in any one of these places, it's going to be a good, let's say, add on to whatever you get from him. So Alex, our guy is now.
That is so interesting because it's monetizing the compulsion of Twitter. And you're right. I might move on in a second. The plan was to master Twitter, outsource it, and then move to LinkedIn. But LinkedIn was so boring that it forced me back to Twitter. And then I was like, I'm going to use what I learned here to master our YouTube. And then the new YouTube content that Div and Ankit were coming up with was so boring that it forced me back to Twitter. So then I got them to remake their content, and still, like, it's good. We filmed so much of it. But now it was so interesting that I filmed so much of it so fast. So I still have so much downtime.
I think Twitter's like the place where you hang out. That's what's happening. Like all the kids are hanging out there, from 20 years old right up to 70 years old. Your friend Dennis Yu hangs out there. Everyone's hanging out there. So Twitter's become this place where everyone's just there. Yeah, that's what's happening.
There's a YouTube video coming on that too. I am Dennis Yu.
looking forward to that then. Interesting.
I've been writing a bunch of his tweets, like 99%. Why? Because you think Dennis Yu has the same exact compulsion I have, dude?
I see that. So the thing is, if you see your tweets and then you see his, and then you see a little bit of the language, I'm like, okay, either these guys are sitting around together and tweeting it, or something like this is happening. So okay,
sorry.
Go for it.
It's because I'm learning, and actually maybe this is insightful too. The reason why I like running Dennis Yu's Twitter account, he's not even paying me for it. Like, I'm just doing this for free, is because his brand is almost exactly identical to mine, or not identical. It's exactly the opposite of mine. Meaning he's got a lot of medical clients, a lot of small business clients, a lot of like older people that have been around for a long time, a lot of professionals. Versus my audience, I don't even know. Like, I think it's a lot of young kids, a lot of Indians, a lot of people in America that are just fucking hyped up, that are cool. So by writing through Dennis's voice, now I understand more about my own voice.
I'm surprised.
Because if I read a tweet and I'm like, oh, Dennis would never say this. Would I say this? Now I'm asking, would I say this? And now I start understanding, would I say this? Would I not? And there's some stuff that Dennis would say that I would never say. And some stuff I would say that he would never say. A lot more stuff that I would say that he would never say.
All right. I think the last bit requires a blog post for itself, just to decode what you just said. But I'm actually surprised you haven't come up with a Twitter ghostwriting service already. I've been reading about that off late from a lot of folks, and I'm like, okay, that's an interesting space, because there's a lot of rich people who want, they don't have the time. They would know they want to tweet. And actually, I don't know, you might actually want to explore that a little bit. You probably know that already, but some of your friends from India and Nigeria and a lot of other places, I'm sure, probably are tired of selling web design. So, probably some of them could, because there are a lot of content writers from Southeast Asia and like emerging markets as well, who could explore. Typically, they do those $2 or $3 an hour blog posts and stuff. So I'm sure that's an interesting space.
It is. It's a really interesting idea. We'll probably move in that space too. I think it's well, I don't know. I don't want to commit to anything, but it's also like a lot of people in third world want to do content writing, and it's hard, man. I think a lot of them should do coding, like .NET development, or some really, really hard tasks, because I know the easiest thing to do is write content. But if you're selling English content and your English isn't there, you will be getting $2 an article.
Alex, when you
sell English content and your English isn't now you're getting $150 an article.
Alex, you need to fly down to India, and I'm going to introduce you to a lot of really good content writers, buddy. A lot of them.
That's what I want.
I think the guys who follow you don't have great English right now, but want to learn. But I think I'm going to introduce you to a lot of people here.
I know there are, because I have them like Ankit on our team. It's amazing. Vishal, Divich, I call him Div, but Div also is. So I know they exist. The main thing that I'm thinking about is, okay, if you're listening to this podcast, you probably won't be there, right? If 99% or 95% of Indians don't have the English skills, but they all think they have the English skills.
No, but we don't go for the but we don't go for the 95. The point of the 5% of the Indians is you're 1.3 billion people. So if you take the 5% of the 1.3 billion, that's more than enough of Cold Email University being sold off. So
I know. But imagine we could take the 1.3 billion. Make them better than Americans. Now we fulfill my supervillain strategy of bringing the average American salary down to $12,000 a year.
This is that GIF, which goes like this, where there's fire and then there's Alex.
I know, we took it too far.
All right, cool. So let's go back to our agency friend who's, or the freelancer who's selling web design to breweries in the US or any part of the world. And let's actually, beyond the regular, because I think they can find a lot of your stuff in Cold Email University and, your YouTube content. I think the bit that,
that's what I recommend, yeah.
The bit that
go to alexberman.com. It'll go to the YouTube channel. And
we'll link it. Don't worry.
Free playlist. Yeah. Okay.
We'll link all of that.
Playlist for you.
Yep. So,
but everything, first lines, we have email training, like lead gen, like it's all there for free on YouTube. I'm not even going to say buy the course. Buy the course if you want, but like it's all literally all there.
No, you'll start with the content, like free content, guys. You're going to enjoy that. And then you use it, okay, go and make some money and then go and reinvest it into Alex's program and see if it makes sense. And drop a review and reach out to him on Twitter while he's there. Sort of let's speed up. One thing that's different to this podcast episode and all the other ones that we've done so far is the speed, right? This is the speed in the way let's say we're interacting, and it looks normal to you because you're like, yeah, this is how I do things, but it's actually not the way everybody else does things at all.
I know, and I try not to hang out with them. So for instance, I was in we were in a penthouse in the Cosmo, and it was this private speech with, I don't even want to say her name, but she has it's a top 10 business book. And literally the speech that she gave was the same speech. You could tell she gave like 12,000 times. You know what I'm saying? Like you compare that, right, to, I was at HustleCon, I watched Casey Neistat. His speech was just the word hustle. He just thought of hustle because he saw it on a sign and riffed his entire speech. Which one of those two speeches were better? You'd think old school style would say business speaker is doing the 1,000 presentations because it's so valuable. But I got more valuable info from Casey Neistat's hustle speech. So we're wrong, and we need to accept that we're wrong. And most people don't accept that they're completely wrong about everything.
Let's actually get into that, Alex. No, let's get into that because that's exactly what I wanted to touch upon, because I think a lot of content they put across is very, let's say, tactical and how-to content. I think a lot of this mindset bit gets missed out. I know there's a lot of fear and there's a lot of planning over action. There's a lot of that. So let's actually touch upon that, because how do you sort of, what kind of recommendation do you have for people who are like, oh, what will people think, or people who have insecurities about who they are, and this English stuff and web design stuff or cold email, etc., etc. Like, what's your take on that? Like, overall, like the overall mindset of going about all of these things.
Overall mindset is, I mean, we can use an Indian example, right? Guru example. Imagine you go to an ashram. Guru is speaking Japanese. All right, Guru is speaking Japanese. You don't understand Japanese. What are you doing? But he's got the secrets of the universe. All right, you're gonna sit there and you're going to learn Japanese or try to decode whatever he's saying so that you can get to the secret. It's the same with sales. It doesn't matter if you have an accent. It doesn't matter if you're stuttering. It doesn't matter if you are all over the place. If you have the answer to the client's question, they'll sit there. If you're delivering value, they'll sit there and they will go through all of that nonsense just to get that valuable nugget at the end. That is why I don't worry about stuttering. I don't worry about accents. I don't worry about any of that stuff. All you have to do is come with something that's so valuable that people will want to buy it, and then they'll make you sell to them. Even if you're terrible at sales, they'll make you, and they'll sit there until you've gotten your point across.
Yeah, I think that immediately leads me to this entire thing of action over planning. You think action because you get into sort of, let's say, don't think about all these things too much, and just get right down to it, with a very low cost of downside. Like, for example, what's the worst thing that can happen by sending out 10 emails? Yeah. The worst case that'll happen is that people won't reply. That's it. That's like the worst case. So do you think just by like getting into action, because I've seen you over the last, let's say, month or so, and you've done the same thing with Twitter, you've done the same thing with LinkedIn, and you've just gotten down to action, So while, a lot of people, I fall into that trap quite a bit, and I'm like, okay, you know what, perfection and plans and this and that. And you think just like doing things will just breed more confidence? You think that's what's
it's Virgin versus the Chad, dude. It literally is Virgin versus the Chad meme, meaning, okay, on one side, you have this nerd that's like so into the work and thinking everything needs to be perfect. And then you have this other dude on the other side that's just riffing it and he's winning. And he's winning and it makes you seem so stupid.
Yeah.
And that's how I feel. I feel so stupid because I was so plateaued thinking everything needed to be value when there was more value in the human aspect.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just
now we're talking about Twitter. Like literally we're talking about Twitter and LinkedIn and American English, dude. Where did that come from, right? That came from just talking to people. You know what I'm saying? Like I was only selling cold email.
Yep.
That's it.
Yep. You were the cold email guy.
People didn't care about cold email. They wanted clients and they want to do better.
Yes.
So you think about that at its core. And the only way that I've found to think about that is by riffing stuff and seeing what hits. If you think about that at its core, then all of your offers come from there.
So that's something that I think everybody who's listening and overall just do more stuff, guys. Don't just sit around and make plans and this and that. Do that, but then do it for 5 minutes and then do 5 hours of actually just trying shit.
Yeah.
I think if you can just go back and guys, if you go back and just watch the Twitter 10K launch, and then if you can just go back and watch his Cold Email University bit, and then you can check the LinkedIn X thing. I haven't even checked the LinkedIn X, and I personally not even watched a lot of YouTube videos. I've just been on the Twitter bit because I spend a lot of time there, but I can get all the updates, and I'm like, oh, what he's doing is so simple. It's not even complicated. The fact is that he's doing it. That's like the major difference.
The hard thing for me was removing the lag between thoughts and words. That's it. We all know what we want to do. So, and then the thoughts get in our way. So for instance, you say somebody wants to sell, but they're too shy. Remove the second. Somebody wants to sell. You know what I'm saying? Like, why add the second thing? You can do whatever you want.
This is a YouTube video. like a mini, the thumbnail being Alex like this, something like, Guru Alex, and then going with just one line with motivational music at the back, something like that's going to be interesting. But absolutely, I think action and, that's what I've seen you do. And I think that's highly, highly recommended for everybody. So Alex, tell us a bit more about what...
The big point on that is take action first, learn second. Meaning we can go through and we can look at, we can watch courses, we can do all this stuff. But even if you take Cold Email University, I would prefer you send 30 emails or even just open an email account and write a cold email or two, even if they're terrible. I would rather you do that than join the course rather than join the course and try to get me to teach it from scratch. Because I actually truly believe, I don't think you can teach anything. I think you can give feedback and notes on action, but it's almost impossible to teach something just based on theory.
Yep.
And there's so many theory practitioners that think that you can just teach the theory and it's fine. But I mean, look at the results. It's not fine. It doesn't work. Everyone that succeeded has taken action.
Yes.
Nobody's succeeded just by watching the theories.
No. Yeah. I mean, at some point of time, it gets to just entertainment for the person who's watching. So I think the person who's watching needs to sort of figure out that, okay, cool. Unless I actually send the email after watching Alex's email video, the thing is not going to sell itself. You're just going to end up watching one more video. That's all that's going to happen. So.
And what happens a lot of times is it becomes a religion, meaning somebody will watch 10 of my videos, and then they'll become the cold email guru, meaning they'll be like, oh, I know exactly what to do with the open rate. And let me teach this to my friends, and they'll do all this stuff when they should be sending emails.
Yes.
And booking clients.
But they can figure it out. I mean, there's no harm in them actually teaching other people. It's just that, okay, send out 100 emails. Okay, do it. record whatever you did, and then you share that. That makes sense. No problem.
And when you join the course, what am I going to tell you? I say that to my students too. You buy, even people, okay, they'll pay, $1,000 or whatever it costs for the course. Then they're in the private community and they'll be like, Alex, can you give me feedback on my email? And I'll say, send 100 and post the stats. I'll give you feedback then.
Yeah, makes sense. No, absolutely.
And even on the other end of the wall, I'd rather have them, because you can waste so much time with the theory. You can waste my time, you can waste your time. And I'd rather waste neither of our times than just have you send 100 emails.
Perfect. So I don't want to hammer on this, guys. Go and do. That's it. No more thought about doing. Just do it. And then, Alex, quickly. So what's coming up? So we know that you did the Cold Email University launch, and then very nicely moved the price up, which is perfect. We also know the stats on that on Twitter. Guys, go and check it out. And we want to know what else is happening. So LinkedIn X, I don't know much about. And anything else that's coming up? Any other thing?
Twitter 10K launches August 2nd, and that's going to launch as soon as here's our strategy. So as soon as it launches at 150, then immediately on August 2nd, the price is going to increase to 250. It'll be 250 for a week, and then it'll go up to 997. And then maybe we'll add payment plans or something at that point. But
who's Twitter 10K for? Just to tell us that.
Twitter 10K is not for generating agency leads, but it's for basically, you want to get your first 10,000 followers and make your first sales. The examples we use in the course are all course examples. So one is a software as a service development course that's $100, and then the other one is my.
Oh, that is crazy. That was crazy. That deserves a YouTube mini documentary. I think now you should move to mini documentaries on YouTube, because you took over, guys. Alex took over somebody's account. And then took it from, 100 followers, I don't know what, and then took it up to 10,000 followers, used paid ads, used a lot of other stuff, but he did it. And then the point was he got sales at the back of that. That's just brilliant. Check it out on Twitter as well. But Twitter 10K is...
Yeah, that's... Okay.
Yeah, no, go for it. No, go for it. No, go for it.
Pay Prime, yeah, he was trying, I think he made his account in 2009. Now he's got 58 or 59 followers. And yeah, we rebuilt the whole thing live on stream. That video is actually in Twitter 10K. It's not a documentary to be put on YouTube. That's a documentary.
Not yet. Okay.
You'll see some of our new content. What we're doing right now is the Pornhub strategy so you go to, is this okay? I feel like this is okay. You go to Pornhub, and every company is trying to sell you their full-length paid pornography, right? But all of Pornhub has free videos. So how do they do it? They show you a trailer, and then they make you watch the full video. So I filmed 7 videos yesterday that were literally the course, okay, not $997 paid course, truncated down, shortened down, and some stuff was blurred and censored to force people that are watching the video. They're seeing it's valuable, but in order to see the full video, got to buy the course.
Billy Jean did that really well. He used to do that. You should actually get one of your team members to actually check it out. He did that really well, I think about a year and a half back. He would just cut off at the point of time where it's like you really want to see what's coming up next, and it just blurs out. And it was on YouTube, and it was ridiculous. It was like but I love the strategy. It just works because it's like, okay, it's just a little bit of a tease. You get the value that you should get, but if you want more, right? This is what you get off of that. So you could go ahead and check it out. Yeah. So you're doing that. Yeah.
There's a ton of levels of that, right? Because that's part of it. The other part is you don't know me as a Twitter. You know me as a Twitter expert, but you don't know as a LinkedIn expert. But you watch LinkedIn videos. Now you're like, holy crap, these guys know what they're doing, and now you want to buy the course. So it also sells that, and the videos by itself show you what's possible. So for instance, if I'm like, everyone's making money on Twitter right now and it's back, and it was dead and now it's back, you don't know that. Nobody knows that. I didn't know that.
Yep.
Right? But when I say that in the videos, now everyone knows. And I'm the Twitter expert because I did this thing. Also I became an expert in 48 hours.
Yeah, this is
by
the
growing
thing.
This account.
This is the thing. This is the thing. I don't even want you to be an expert, right? That's the thing. Everybody talks about somebody, having this authority and being a domain expert. And I'm like, why? Yeah, if I can just show you how to do it, okay, and if the numbers are there to back it up, and even if I'm the guy who just walked in yesterday, okay, but if I can do it better than everybody else, yeah, that's more than enough for you to know that I'm an expert. There's no expertise required. It's just that I know how to do this. I showed you how to do this by doing it on myself. Yeah, what's the point of this? The entire expertise thing. So and you're proof of that. You're like, okay, cool. I've done this with YouTube, and anyway doing that. But instead of trying to sort of do this very soft positioning thing that you talk about, which is posting on social and this and that and all of that, you're like, hey, let's just do whatever I want to do, which is I want to sell a course on Twitter. I don't know how that's going to pan out. Let's actually try to grow shit here, make money, and just like try to show people how I did that. Yeah.
And it's feeling the vibe as you're making it. So for instance, the reason we even did the K-Prime thing was because I was live streaming Twitter 10K the launch. The only reason I was live streaming the Twitter launch was I was getting bored doing it myself. I was procrastinating. So I was like, maybe if I stream this, I'll be able to get it done. Then during the stream, I was like, this is boring as fuck, right? I can't just use my own content as an example. We need to do this again. And then I just reached out live and like, yeah, we made it happen.
So I think taking a little bit of risk, man. Like I think it's just that, and then when people get very sensitive about their personal brand and this and that, and I think just taking a little bit of risk, even if you fail, what's the worst case? You can just come back again. I think that
and it's holding the things in. As long as you're right in your heart. So for instance, like if I'm trying to destroy somebody, I'm going to be saying all this hateful shit and it's going to take me down. But for instance, okay. Edgy example. Well, even like the India stuff is edgy. No one's talking about that. But edgy example was recently, Michelle, who's on our team, wanted more female testimonials. Now I could do this insane strategy of like changing my entire personality to appeal to women and do all this shit. But instead, I just posted, hey, any woman who submits a cold email testimonial gets $50. And then woman immediately got back with a great testimonial of $10,000, right? But in her testimonial, she said that she didn't want to share it because she wasn't ready. She only made $10,000. So now, first of all, I shared that. I gave her free access to my courses and everything, of course, so that she can be in our community because obviously she's a hustler. But I learned a valuable thing right there, right? I was like, women kill it as much as men do, but they don't talk about it, right? A man will brag about making an email list, not even sending an email.
No. Attending a course. I just attended a course. That's what they brag about. I just attended a course. I was in that list, a participation certificate because I attended an event. That's what they brag about. Yeah.
And then a woman will not even talk about it after she's successful.
That's true.
Which leads to long-term us not having a lot of female testimonials. So what I did by holding that in my heart, right? I know because we have women in our courses that are killing it, right? Christina made $1 million with her agency. Avatar. You know what I'm saying? Like she's got her avatar. She doesn't have her picture. She's a tiger. I don't even know what's her real name. Even this other girl, I think her name's Rihanna. Avatar. It's like
this is the new thing.
That's okay. It's the new thing, but it's also like, it is the new thing, and I think it solves a lot of the problems that women encounter with their judgment and stuff, which is cool. But we need to see that. Other women need to see that. And so how did we get to that, right? I didn't get there mentally until I randomly tweeted for $50 testimonials from women.
Yeah. And I don't think it was about the $50 anyway. It was just the fact that, but I'm just saying it wasn't even about that for the people, right? It was just that, okay, being acknowledged and just being called out, saying, hey, if you're somebody like this, just reach out. And I think nobody, sort of does that, or ask people. And I think a lot of this is just it's not even risk, guys, it's just doing it. And I think the underlying thing is like, Alex execution king is what I feel is not cold email king now. It's just like, just riffing. I don't know. I want to give it some name. It's like Alex riffing king, or like just do it king, or something like that. Riffing. Yeah, exactly the point. Like just do it. Yeah.
Execution is what it's all about, and it's like holding whatever the mission is in your heart. Meaning, I know in my heart that I want people to succeed. So in order to get them to succeed, apparently we had to teach them English, or we have to go to Nigeria and do an event, or we have to launch a Twitter course, show people how easy Twitter is, or whatever. Like it all kind of flows from that point, and also that point of being really, really honest about when you're bored, and when you hate your life. Okay, a lot of people sit there. A lot of people internalize this idea of things have to be hard, when actually things have to be or should be easy. Things should be so easy. Okay, yesterday the original videos I wanted to do, or Div wanted me to do, were let's go through the course content as bullet points and let's talk about each one in detail. I put that off for 24 hours. I didn't want to do it. And my idea was, let's just do this porn thing where we do the trunk, like, let's just release the course live on YouTube. And I filmed 7 videos in 20 minutes because it was just the intros, middle, and outros. And it was easy, right? The same thing on Monday, I filmed 8 videos in Red Rock because instead of doing bullet points, like Ankit put together these beautiful bullet points, I just did it Casey Neistat style, 3 words, and I would just riff it. And you can do this, the same thing, same exact thing with your work.
Alex, what's going to happen is we need a course, all right, called Doing It. All right, which has just one module with 3 seconds of content in there that says "Do it." All right, and I want to try this out. Actually, try to sell it, but the point is, I think a lot of times it's just like somebody wants somebody along. Like, you know, you're the one who's taking the risk. You're the one who's sort of as the confident guy. I think a lot of this comes from somebody just, you know. I think you mentioned it in one of your tweets. It's like, you know, people are at home. You know, they're sort of lonely and they need company and they need sort of, you know, somebody to go along, and you know, a lot of consumption is coming from that. No, but it's true. Like a lot of content that we see right now is coming from people just putting on their headphones, listening to a live stream where people are just blabbering shit, nothing else is happening. So I think a lot of this is down to that. But anyway, you were saying, sorry, I just like cut you there on the doing things. No,
it's all parasocial relationships. And people say that word like it's a bad word, but it's not. You know, you could think, yeah. Why is this lagging so bad?
It is. Yeah. Last 5 seconds. Yes.
1 second.
I think now we're back. Yeah, now we're back. Go for it.
Okay. So it's all about the parasocial. And some people would say parasocial relationships are bad. I think they're positive. And what that means is one-to-many relationships. You're best friends with Gary Vaynerchuk in your mind. He's never met you. He has no idea who you are, right? You're best friends with Grant Cardone in your mind. Or he at least knows about you in your mind. But how could he? Right? Think about that for a second. Does Grant Cardone know who you are? You think so. Deep down, in your soul, you think so.
Right.
But no, he has no idea who you are.
Yes.
That's called a parasocial relationship. So what you want to master, what I've been mastering with content, is you want to make content that looks like I'm talking directly to you, right? Just like kind of what we're doing here. Like we're having a conversation. We're not super like fucking put together. Like it's like we're having a conversation.
Yep.
The third person here is you listening to this podcast. The third person is the person listening to this podcast. And that's what we always want to keep in mind. So they are friends, right? If somebody's been listening to you for, you know, even a couple episodes, they're friends with you. And that's what I really lean into with the parasocial relationship. You can make a video that's viewed 10,000 times. And let's say 1,000 of those people resonate and 1,000 of those people are now friends. They're in your orbit, okay? How long would it take you to talk to 1,000 people and get them to be your friend?
Never happening one-on-one.
A year? Yeah, a year. Not one conference.
No.
Okay. How long would it take you to talk to 1,000 people over video? 15 seconds.
I've actually done this. I've done this one-on-one. I went to this event in Lisbon called Web Summit. There were like 60,000 people in there. I actually tracked how many people I spoke to one-on-one in 3 days. It was 320 people. And I don't remember any one of them. And we haven't connected at all because it was so short, right? It was so whatever, transactional or just like very quick. I maybe remember probably 2 people. And I think the rest of it was just like, sort of, let's say, just talking to them very quickly. So yeah, I mean, I absolutely.
Okay, so think about this. So it took you an entire weekend to do 320 people.
In Lisbon, I'd fly down and do all of that stuff.
Yeah. In the last 28 days, our tweets have been seen by 2.4 million people.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. No.
Okay, so I've talked to 2. So that's what I'm talking about when it comes to parasocial. And it's
I did this, Alex. I did this with.
I know you did.
No. I did this with a giveaway. So there's Arvid Kahl who has a book, and he had a book anniversary. So all I did was I just said, okay, 100 people. I just want to celebrate my friend Arvid Kahl's book anniversary. I'm going to give away 100 people free books. And he had it at a lower price. So I said, okay, for the next 24 hours or whatever, you just tweet and then we're going to send it off. I think it was like some 20,000 impressions or something like that where people just like viewed in. And all of those people have become friends now because they got something for free from me. They're all in my DMs and, on Twitter and like just having conversations. So I like, listen, personally, I get what you're saying 100%. And I think guys try it out. Like you try what
the reason why, specifically you want to be as real as possible. You don't want to put on a fake persona is what I've found. So if I say the women thing, or I say the it's not coming from a place of hating women, it's coming from a place of understanding. Or if I say, the thing about Indians need to improve their English, right? That's not coming from a place of understanding, that's coming from a place of improving. But I say that, right? I say that, and now somebody else feels free to express their own emotion. Maybe a similar thought, maybe a different thought. So you walk in, let's say it's like a religious CEO, and you just start talking like you're yourself. They're your best friend. That's it. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I'm just leveraging what would normally be behind closed doors, right? That sort of connection that you have, right? Because you talk to the religious CEO and he's like, God or whatever. Then you hang out with him later that night and he's saying some like nonsense to you, dude. Like who even knows what he's fucking saying?
Sure.
I just take that and you put it on Twitter. I know everyone already thinks it because I see it every time I talk to anyone one-on-one. That's all it is.
True. No, I get it 100%, guys. So just keep your mind out. That's it. Nobody's gonna. In fact, I had this thing where I think there was like some 1,200 or 1,500 people just like I wrote one line on some very famous person's tweet, and then there were like some 1,200, 1,500 people come and like another tweet which was hating on me, and that's on top of like 100,000 impressions on that hating tweet on me.
Yeah.
But nothing happened in my life. But nothing happened. Okay, so in fact, what I did was I just muted that tweet. That's it. That's all I did. I was like, okay, I don't want any more notifications on this, and it's fine. Like it's okay to express your thoughts, and there will be people who disagree, and one of them could be me or Alex or like anybody else. It's fine. But the point is, like, I think you make a very valid point. You're like, just like be yourself, express yourself.
You be yourself, and as long as you keep the right mindset, there's enough people. Like you're saying, India's got 1.4 billion people, 8 billion people on the earth, right? Maybe trending towards 20 or 30 billion. Who even knows where it's
10 is happening. 10 billion is happening.
Right.
Yeah.
So give me 100 million people, right?
Yep.
How big's Charlie D'Amelio on TikTok? 130 million followers.
Yeah.
Half of America. That's even 10% of India. And she's a massive. I think she's the biggest. She's the biggest. So when you talk about, cancel culture, you talk about people, putting you in a box, go ahead, put me in a box. Never think about me again. This guy likes me. There's other people like me. Who cares?
I have a few things, man. So we've actually given quite a bit of a guru Alex stuff out there. Can you tell us a little bit about people who you learn from, Alex? You want to know who do you like? Let's say I don't want to say look up to, because I feel everybody learns from each other, and everyone's at different stages. But who do you learn from? In general, give us some names.
Right now, I'm learning a lot from Dennis Yu. Just the way that he approaches content, because he is former Yahoo. He's lived through that, and then he's lived through like all this other stuff. He's a social media guy. He's just doing a keynote like the year before that Richard Branson was the keynote, and then he was the keynote. So I learned a lot there. I actually still I learned a lot from Tom Tancredi, who ran Dom and Tom, which was the agency I was at. Like everyone else, bro. Most of my mentors only exist in my brain. That's it. Like John Ledger, CEO of T-Mobile. I think about him all the time. I've only talked to him like once. Pauly Shore, who was my mentor in LA. Hollywood celebrity. I think about him all the time. He's one of the reasons I moved away from cold email, because I saw what happened to him in the 90s with his, he was seen as this one character type. So it really is just like, even like I was just talking to Amanda Holmes, Chet Holmes' daughter, who did Ultimate Sales Machine.
Yes.
And I'm learning a lot from her. That's why I'm on the woman arc. This whole thing, because it's starting to open up, because she was saying 5% of CEOs are women. I'm like, what's going on? I'm learning from everyone, bro. Kanye West has inspired my Twitter.
All right. Before we get to Jack Dorsey and Elon Musk, I think
I learned way more from Elon than Jack Dorsey.
Yeah, I think I don't know. It's one of those things where I think everyone's just being themselves. I think the more that you see that, the one common thread between all the names that you said was that everyone's just being themselves, in the sense that, okay, everybody goes through their own insecurities and this and that. But at the end of the day, you can actually just see that they're just trying to just stay as much as they can as themselves, and not putting on somebody like characters.
Yeah, and it's seeing examples on both sides. So for instance, you can have anti-mentors as well. So like there's some stuff that Dennis Yu is doing that is a warning against what not to do. There's a lot of stuff that Pauly Shore was doing that's a warning against what not to do. Even Tom, even John Ledger, even Amanda Holmes. She's the one with that long presentation she's given 1 million times. She's rewriting her father's book. You know what I'm saying? Like, come on, she's a musician. You should not be doing this. But here she is. So I'm learning from all of those guys.
So learning
like Tim Ferriss.
Oh yeah,
capped out in 2013. You know what I'm saying? Like Tim Ferriss could have been a modern philosopher and just keep going, but instead he's doing this podcast. So I know now. Never do a podcast as your main thing.
Oh yeah,
I learned that.
Yeah. I mean, don't write Tools of Titans it was your tweet. I think I remember.
Yeah. Well, it was never go full Tools of Titans.
That's true. If Tim, you're going to be on this podcast in the future, we're gonna analyze a little bit of Alex Berman. Okay, I'm just giving you that.
And I think that's what we need to hear.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like Pauly Shore, we hung out. Now he's making movies again. You know, his career is saved. He's on Netflix. I think he had 3 movies on Netflix since we started hanging out. You know, like sometimes people just need to hear it.
It's true. Well, like I would love to see more of Tim Ferriss' human experiments, you know, when it comes to actually doing shit and documenting it. But I think he's on his own journey. I think he got bored of doing that. You know, he did some experimentation stuff and then figured that it's just like he does stuff and then he documents it, which is very similar to what you just did, like with Twitter and, you know, all these things. And then
I'm not doing anything new, man.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, I think it's one of those things where you just like, you know, how you said earlier as well, you know, sometimes you just get bored of doing the same thing. And I think he got to a point where he can just send out an email to a bunch of people recommending a product, take a commission on an affiliate sale or something, and then make $1 million. And I think once you get to that point, it's very difficult to keep yourself very, very motivated unless you're doing something really, really, you know, sort of driven. I personally feel that's probably where it's coming from, but you know, we'll have to speak to Ferriss about
it. We can't analyze him. I don't know him. I don't want to talk about him, but there's a lot of levels to it. And one of the big things is fear. So for instance, like Tim Ferriss could do what I'm doing on Twitter. He would be gigantically successful. Will he do it? No. Right? Why? Fear. Or he'll say he doesn't want to. I don't want to do that. I don't make content like that. You know, he could.
All right, cool. We're gonna guys. Let's try and see if we can cold email our way into having Alex Berman versus Tim Ferriss fight or something like that. That's gonna be interesting. All right, and Alex, let's conclude, and then we'd always ask this one question. Okay, if you had to leave everybody who's listening to this today or in the future with one advice, and it may be like anything. Could be funny, could be inspirational, whatever you want. Just like, what would that one piece of advice be?
You already know what to do. Meaning, sit there. Okay, actually walk outside. Think for about 15 minutes. Like, what do I want to do? What's the actual like takeaway from what I want to do? Meaning, like, what's the deliverable? Is it making, you know, a documentary? Is it sending emails? Is it like, what do I need to do? Write that on your whiteboard. Did that. That's it. You don't need another guru. You actually don't even need another course. You don't need another podcast episode. Think about what you want to do. Trust yourself that is what you want to do, and then do it.
Done. Boom. That's it, guys. Alex Berman, thank you so much for all the crazy and the good and everything in between.